Päivi, super excited to have you on as a guest. I've been longing to talk to you because I see you involved in many different aspects of social commerce that I find super fascinating myself. You started working at TikTok Shop in the UK as the head of the beauty category, and we're certainly going to dive into that. But afterwards, you also decided, okay, I'm gonna actually launch out on my own. I'm gonna start an agency. And on top of that, you have recently been co-founding Kanzen Studios, which is a new and exciting studio in Birmingham in the UK, specifically dedicated to live shopping. So all of that we're going to dive into in this conversation. But let's start at the very beginning. What got you interested in working with social commerce and TikTok Shop in the first place? Because that was not something that you had done before joining TikTok Shop, as far as I understand.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to, Moritz, say thank you so much for having me here. And I know this has been long in the making, and I'm super happy we finally managed to find the right spot for both of us. So thank you for inviting me here. As you know, I'm super passionate of all things social commerce and TikTok Shop. So I think I'm just eager to share my thoughts for everybody who is willing to to listen. My background is that I've built my career at Unilever. So basically, I've run their businesses back at home in Nordics, and then I joined just when the pandemic hit the global Unilever headquarters here in London, doing the beauty and personal care global strategies and transformation. And at that time, my family, we also relocated from Finland to London, and naturally, the huge emphasis was on the China, on the Asia, and in my that current role, I could witness so well what's happening in Asia, like the whole rise of social commerce, rise of Douyin and different social commerce apps and social selling. So basically, I saw it. It was super fascinating, but it was also easy to see it won't be just Asia, it won't be just China. This is going to evolve and change. And at the same time, people started spending more time on their phones and different social media apps, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. They sort of just simultaneously exploded, as well as we've seen what's been happening in the past 5-6 years in the Western world. And
Right. And then the pandemic also fueling that even further, right?
yeah,
People not
the
being able to
whole,
socialize and go out.
yeah, 100%. And the whole race of e-commerce during the pandemic. So all of that was happening while I was in the heart of that, at the Unilever e-commerce, health and beauty channels, and witnessing the massive global change happening. And I think I've been personally always curious on the new and the next, and always trying to drive the business towards the future. That's my personal mentality. And then it was back end of 2023 when TikTok Shop called me that would I be interested in the roles they have to offer. And I ended up having conversations with them and then made the decision to leave Unilever and join TikTok Shop. And I remember it was really scary step because, TikTok Shop back then in the UK, it was so early days. And it was so early days, and nobody had even heard about TikTok Shop. Does such a thing really exist? And I was thinking, am I really risking my career now, massively on going there? But it turned out to be literally the best experience of my life. Joining the team, leading part of the beauty categories here in the UK, and really witnessing inside out what social commerce is and the power of TikTok Shop, how it is so powerful. And I think there were certain moments that sort of converted me fully. Part of them was being part of the biggest live rooms in the UK. The days when you made back then 500,000 a day, 200,000 a day, and seeing the shoppers, I could feel and sense the change in the shopper behavior, like how excited they were to buy from the live shopping, to buy from the TikTok shop, to buy from the affiliate. So all that really like kind of made me understand that, yes, this is not just something that will stay in Asia, but it's going to be huge here as well. Just seeing how the shopper changes, but also like from the personal aspect, like looking myself and my my friend groups, like we want to buy what we see on our feed, right? Make it easy for us. So there is that aspect that you are being influenced by the things you are seeing in social media. And like, I think TikTok has just been so successful because they have been able to commercialize it in such an easy way, like, 3-step buying process. So that's basically, like the background. And then, I wanted to stay on TikTok shop space, saw the massive potential and decided that I want to start and run my own agency and like essentially help brands to bridge the gap. My agency is called Silta, and that actually means bridge in Finnish. So basically bridging
Right.
between the old world of commerce to the new world of commerce, and really wanted to help the brands to launch and scale on the platform and see the benefits of it. And then, as you said, Kanzen Studios. So I'm the sole founder of Silta, my TikTok shop partner agency. And I'm really proud of this, Moritz, but my agency is the only female founded TikTok shop partner agency in the UK, and I believe in the Europe as well. So it's kind of like big thing. And then on top of that, co-founded Kanzen Studios end of last year with two amazing co-founders, David Connor and Matthew Bellingham. And basically now like full on end-to-end service to the clients we work with.
Yeah, certainly a fascinating journey from feeling like, okay, Unilever and leaving Unilever is a massive risk that you were taking at the time. And now it certainly feels like you've been getting used to taking risks and stepping into entrepreneurship more and more yourself, really doubling down on the power of social commerce, but then also live shopping in particular. If we linger a little bit on your time that you had at TikTok back in 2024, as someone spearheading really the beauty category, which I think is certainly one of the most important, if not the most important category within TikTok shop, what did that feel like in terms of momentum, but also maybe in terms of how beauty was treated differently than other categories? Did you feel that internally and externally, that especially within beauty, there's a lot of potential here and it's just waiting to be basically upsurfaced and made available to all the amazing brands and customers also out there?
Yeah. Basically, when TikTok Shop, like UK was the first market to launch TikTok Shop outside Asia back in the 2021. So this was the first like Western market, how to make it happen here. And naturally, like given the how beauty categories work and how important social media is for the beauty categories, it was easy for TikTok back then to make decision that, we are doubling down on beauty category and we are doubling down on fashion. So basically, out of them, the beauty category was really the first category to really be boosted on the platform, and it made sense in so many ways because that's the initial. Like that's the category where the shoppers want the visual world. They want to see how the products work, how they look on your skin, the transformations, all that. So basically that was the first category, and it's still today the biggest category. The latest stats that I have from a year ago, I think it was around like 30% of the total sales on the platform came from the beauty. I think that has evolved now that the other categories have grown so fast. But anyhow, beauty is still the one that dominates. And what it means also, like from the inside out, is that naturally then every development that you want to make, it starts usually it back then started from the beauty, like really leading all the evolutions of how to work with affiliates, how to do these big mega lives. I think back then in that year, the biggest live made was like 1 million, which was like a huge accomplishment. And now we know, like, times have evolved, and now top brands are selling like 1 day mega lives, like over 2 million. So it just shows that the evolution of the platform. But basically I think, because it's been really the key category where everybody's been doubling down, like internally, but also like externally, all the sellers, all the brands have been super interested in that. So naturally, it was great place to witness how things are developed at the forefront of TikTok Shop. And I'm goodness, I just learned a ton. I like learned the new language, learned a new way of business. Everything was new, and also like the new way of working in the Chinese tech company.
I can totally see how beauty is a prime example of how social commerce can really capture the interest of the consumers, because it's so easy to visually show the product and also the effects of the product. Do you see other categories, though, that might be able to catch up to the beauty category or might even
100%.
surpass it? Or will that always be the prime focus, beauty and
Yeah.
clothing?
I think that is a really good question. And if you're looking at like the trajectory, so like by 2029, when you're looking at the biggest e-commerce marketplaces in the world, so Amazon will be still number one globally. Number two will be Chinese Pinduoduo, which is like a social selling app. And then the third one will be ByteDance. That is the owner company of Douyin and TikTok Shop. Naturally, now there are some changes in the US side, but basically, like the idea is that everything and anything can be sold in the social commerce. And in order for ByteDance to become, and TikTok Shop eventually to become, the world's largest third largest e-commerce marketplace, it means that it's not just beauty. So I think like things have started with beauty, things have started with wellness, health. Those are massive on the platform. Fashion is just getting bigger and bigger. So there are a lot of categories that are just expanding. But at the same time, in the food side, we see that, that beverage and snacking industry, sweets are massive on the platform, but then all the FMCG players are gradually coming in. So I think we are talking about the industry change. So back 2 years back, still like it was more like the independent startups and scale ups on the platform in the UK. But today, when we are looking at the landscape, like, Marks and Spencer has arrived, all the big retailers, whether it's like from starting from Lidl, they are doing different experimentations and drops on the platform. So basically, it's coming way more mainstream. And then also like from the big enterprise level side, like L'Oreal has really paved the way, showing what and how the big enterprises can own the platform. And now the big other companies are also following. So basically, what you ask, like where this will go, yeah, I think we will pretty much sell everything in a few years' time on the platform. And it's just like, it always takes the bold, because like certain categories don't exist in the platform yet. So then somebody needs to take the bold decision. We have clients who are like, okay, no, well, we are first one to open certain categories. And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's embrace it. Let's build it as a forerunner. So that's the evolution.
I mean, it's super exciting times, and even though it might not feel like it, it's still super early in the journey of social commerce and live shopping, particularly here in the West, right? So I can barely imagine what 5 years from now the social commerce space will look like, who will be the big players. Maybe all the other platforms also join the race, and TikTok is not dominating
Yeah.
as much as they currently are. So there's a lot to be still figured out and to unravel. But do you think that going forward, the kind of UGC style of selling on TikTok Shop will still be the dominant way to produce content, or with big players like you just mentioned, L'Oreal joining into this category, will it become more polished? Will it become something that you actually have to spend a lot of money to even enter the industry? Will it become a place where it's very hard to make it as someone who is just getting started in this space?
Yeah. By the way, like before answering to that, like circling back to what you just said, like previously, because when you're looking at the numbers, so and UK and US, so like only in a like next 2 years' time, the social commerce will the size will double in the UK and the size will double in the US. So like in a 2 years' time, I think the industry will be around 150 billion in the US. So basically doubling from the current size. And as you said, it won't be just TikTok Shop. There are other platforms up and running coming. And also like interested, like, because Meta has been just like not really cracking the code yet. So what's going to happen there? And it's all about like how you can make this easy and seamless for the shopper. That's something that I think all the platforms should be thinking about now. Um, but then like going to your actual question, how is it going to evolve? And this is the interesting piece, because when you are comparing Instagram to TikTok, so Instagram is the super polished, curated collection of aspirational photos. And then when you come to the land of TikTok Shop, it 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 is interesting what resonates on this platform. And naturally, like it's different in each country. More, it's like want to be open with that. Like TikTok and TikTok Shop looks a bit different in every market where we are. But I think the authenticity has been the key there, and it's been really like somebody who I can trust is talking about the products, is generating the content in their own living room or in their own kitchen or in their own bedroom. And basically that has been the thing that has been selling on the affiliate side. And then when you're looking at the brand content, it's really like when you look at the top brands on the platform, they are embracing the everyday stuff. They are embracing their office behind the scenes. Nothing is like off limits. Nothing is too polished. And the more authentic you can be, the better you often perform. So I think that is how TikTok Shop today is. And then going forward, I think interesting aspects here are like how AI generated content is going to change the game. What will shoppers think about it? I don't think we will see the difference. Like, now you can see the difference, but like soon you really, really can't. So then how that landscape changes, because naturally, like when you talk about TikTok and you talk about the algorithm that like the biggest brands on the platforms, you need to get 5 to 8 videos out per day here in the Western world in the UK. And then even the starter brands, you need to get 1 to 2 videos out every single day. So that's a huge effort if you're a small organization, but it's also a huge effort if you are the big organization. So then you need to find ways to scale that. And I think AI is coming to play that. So like the repurposing of your existing content will be easier. And then you will generate probably a large chunk of that with the AI. So yeah, I think like what you said about the polished way, I am not sure I see that happening in the like that level of polish that I think like where we are in this Instagram. I don't think that's sort of going to happen. But naturally, as everything evolves, I think also like the standards raise, and it might be that it's going to look maybe more curated in a few years' time, but it remains to be seen.
Yeah, and then it's also going to be interesting to see how, for example, in the US, the change in ownership will influence algorithm and what you get to see as a consumer on TikTok. I don't think anything is officially set on that, but I'm sure there will be changes, and I'm sure they are going to be noticeable to the American audience. So that might then also translate into how other countries and other consumers in other parts of the world want to consume their TikTok feed.
And I
But
think like
time will
also
tell.
time will tell. And also like from the live perspective, like thinking how the live studios have evolved and the live setups have evolved. So I think you know, live streams that started from your kitchen table, they have evolved to studios, and I think the studio spaces are like more and more sophisticated, stunning looks. You change them more often. So there are a lot of things I can see that, you know, we are changing, and then like seeing the next level studios in China and how tech is being used there. So all of that development is definitely coming, and we see a lot of that happening in the UK already now.
Yeah, and you're at the very forefront of it
Yeah.
with Kanzen Studios, which is a good segue to what led you to leave TikTok Shop in the first place. I mean, you said it was a transformative experience
Yeah.
to you and your career.
Yeah.
You had bet quite a lot on this working out, and then you decided to venture out on your own, start your own agency, but also become a co-founder in Kanzen Studios. Can you walk us through the decision-making process of actually taking that step?
I think it's been a long in the making to build something on your own. Like it doesn't happen overnight. But I think like with this, there was such a clear opportunity to help brands, because like the time that I spent on the platform, the amount of requests through my LinkedIn or to my friendships circles, to my business network that came to me, people came to ask like how to make this work, how to make this scale. And then I just thought that, you know, now it's the time to do that. And I'm really I'm really glad I did it, because it's been absolutely amazing time. And then also like we do like two kinds of things at my agency Siltas. In the past year, I have personally trained probably close to 2,000 people in the world's biggest companies. So if you take like world's top 5, top 10 largest FMCGs, I've been building the capability building programs, the transformation programs, and different master classes for a lot of those companies. So like really privileged work. And you can see that, you know, it's like the industry really changing and wants to change. And at the same time, our team, we run the shops and we run the whole, end-to-end process of running a TikTok shop for our clients. That can be like from the startups to scale ups to enterprise level. So everything in between. So it's been like super rewarding and truly amazing to build this. So I'm really glad I decided to do that. At the same time, then I'm a huge live stream advocate, like huge, and it really started when I joined the platform. Such a thing as Mega Live didn't even exist, so that was sort of invented as we went, and then TikTok really doubled down on live streaming. Like they said that this is the way forward, and we want our sellers to do live streaming. And naturally then us as a team, like me and my whole team, we were really trying to push our top sellers to do the live streams and also the mega live streams. So that became more and more thing all the time. And then I've been really fortunate to be part of the biggest live streams of the platform back then when I was working on the platform. And I think that the energy in the live room, it's like it's something else. And Moritz, if you haven't been watching live streams or experience it, I'm inviting you to our studios next time you are in a
I
UK.
would love
So
to come.
because like I think like it is something that I like genuinely just love, even though it's like 12 hours or 16 hours, like exhausting days, but you just see the shopper engagement, how you get the comments, people asking questions from the host, and actually spending a lot of time with your brand. And I think that's really rare. Like if you look at the numbers, like usually it takes 1 to 3 seconds for people to, spend time with your video content, right? But when it comes to the live streams, people spend their minutes. They might spend 2 minutes. And I've heard even somebody saying like some lives like have like almost like people spending like up to several minutes there watching the live stream. So then the sort of the engagement with your brand is on in such a different level. And I think it's really important for the community building, for the authentic consumer brand connection. So that's why I'm a true believer. And naturally, like the conversion is great. Like you're selling well on the lives. So that's what I'm recommending to my clients. And I as then like my business partner Matthew Bellingham, I met him in one of the mega lives in Manchester basement. And and then I think like we both were super passionate about the area. And then we decided that, hey, let's join forces. And then that's how like Kanzen Studios was born. And naturally now Kanzen Studios is part larger of the larger Kanzen group. But basically now the studios, it's David, Matthew, and myself there. And we were crazy. We started this back end of last year, the busiest time of the year. We have onboarded some of the biggest brands on the platform already. We have a massive studio space. We are one of the biggest and fastest growing live stream studios in the UK. And naturally, like now it's all TikTok shop lives, but naturally, like we can deliver any lives. So we can deliver your Shopify lives, your Instagram lives. So all of that, because I think the whole industry is just, as you said, we are like here, we are at the baby stage at the moment. But then looking at how the industry is going to develop and how it will be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, it is going to be massive.
Do you think that live shopping is a non-negotiable for any brand that launches social commerce or TikTok shop in 2026? Or is it still possible to say, okay, I want to get my brand name out there, I want to sell on TikTok shop, but I'm not sure about live shopping. Maybe I just focus on affiliate content for
Yeah.
now. Is that just plain out a mistake, or are there different ways to succeed still?
There are like definitely different routes to make it happen. So I think like the number one thing is like you need to succeed with the affiliates and get them behind and get the big machine going. So that's 100% so. And I think it's been even like more emphasized. And if you're looking at, because we operate also like not only in the UK, but also in the US. So just like comparing it. So it's really important. But at the same time, yes, I think every brand needs to do the lives. And it's just like maybe question, when do you start them? Like, do you start them on a month 2 or do you start them a bit later down the line? But I'm definitely recommending everybody to do. But it doesn't mean that you're going to do some mega lives. Like you do that 2-hour daily lives few times a week to test how it goes. And then like when you start doing them gradually, naturally the algorithm then rewards you. And and that way you can increase your live hours, your live sales. So it's really powerful tool. And I do truly recommend it for the brands because you get to explain your products in a very different way and you get that brand engagement on a very different level. So like when you do the lives, it's not only about sales. Of course, you need to sell to make it happen, like make the cost worthwhile naturally, because it's not like cheap way to sell. But at the same time, you are going to get a lot of new followers. You're going to get a lot of new shares, likes. So just like a lot of engagement to your account. So it's a good way to grow, but it needs to be part of the holistic overall strategy.
What are some big mistakes that you have seen back when you were working at TikTok Shop, but maybe also now working with your agency and meeting large clients on a daily basis? Are there common mistakes that you just wish everybody knew about so they could just stop doing those and avoid it altogether?
In general, in operating in TikTok Shop or in
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Um, I think like the general mistake is that you'll be viral overnight, or like in a month's time you have a business that makes 100,000. Because yeah, those things happen and those brands do exist, but literally majority of the brands needs to be just consistent, show up, make the work happen, and then like you need to start the machine, and it will take few months before you really start seeing any results. So basically like it's not, I don't want to be part of I want to be the responsible one. So I don't want to be part of the hype that just says like, come in, you'll be massive overnight, because that's not the way it will happen for the majority of brands joining. And basically, we definitely can help them to scale and speed and avoid the mistakes they would do on their own, because it's like really difficult. I would say TikTok Shop is the most difficult platform in the world to operate in, because there are so many channels and levers you need to understand how they work and how they build together. So it's not easy thing to onboard and do business in. But basically, I think like the consistency and the patience is the thing that needs to be kept in the mind. And also, it's not something like you can dip in and dip out. So either you go in and are all in, or then don't start. Because there is no such a thing like I will test a bit how it works.
It's very interesting how TikTok Shop and social commerce essentially works like building a social media following, right? It's not at all like Facebook ads, for example, where you just can dump a bunch of money into it and then you're going to have your return on ad spend and hopefully that's going to be positive. And that's about it, right? And then you
Yeah.
can just keep doing that until
Yeah.
the ROAS goes down.
Yeah.
Whereas when you want to build something on YouTube or on Instagram, as a creator, it takes time. You're going to have to commit for months and years to build that following and build that trust with your audience. And now we have this intersection of social commerce where you have the e-commerce part, but then you also have the social part where it's not about just pumping money into the system and then you get more money out ideally, but you do have to build that trust. You do have to gain momentum. And it's really good to have people like you out there in the industry preaching that it is something that you have to approach as a long game. It's not
Yeah.
something where
It's a
you should
long
be
game.
blinded by all the hype around it that is also building more and more
Yeah.
as more brands
Yeah.
enter this sector, right? More and more brands go on LinkedIn or wherever and say, second month and I made 1 million. That might happen, but it's not going to be the normal case.
Yeah, exactly. So those 100% those cases happen, and 100% we've scaled brands really fast, but it's just not like I can't go there and say like it's possible for everybody, because that would be a lie. But I think like also the thing that um when you look at the brands who join the platform and then who succeed there, I think there is literally the key thing for them, like that stands them apart from the ones who don't really succeed, is like just like literally showing up, posting on a daily basis, going live, doing the right thing with the affiliates, really trying to be active, and most importantly, like test and learn and pivot, like the constant also like pivoting what's working, what's not, like really, really fast-paced environment, because the environment is changing all the time. So I think those are also like super, super important things for the brands to consider. And then looking at like there are a lot of heritage brands who really don't necessarily even work well in the e-commerce environment, let alone in the TikTok Shop environment. So I think there is also like a lot of ways of working to build a really agile culture that you need in order to succeed in TikTok Shop, like the decision making time, the processes, all that. Like you need to change so much internally in order to be capable to function. And I think also like on that side, a lot of brands want to use agencies because they don't, like it's difficult. And then later down the line, you probably want to build some sort of in-house capabilities as your business grows. But initially it is literally so much easier to turn to somebody, a specialist agency. And then I also want to say one more thing is that I like, because people often come and say, like, yeah, we've done this in Amazon, like, we know it, but like, because this has nothing to do with Amazon, like it's completely different channel, it's completely different playbook here. So it's just like you need to understand how TikTok Shop, how social commerce works, and then just use it in a way.
With your own agency and the customers that you're working with, is your experience that most of them like to just hand it all over to you and say, Pavi, please deal with it. We can't be bothered, at least right now. Or is the experience that there's a true uh, craving to understand this new medium and new channel? Do they really want to get taught so they can at some point do it in-house? Where do you feel like you and your agency adds the most value?
I think like it is both ways. So, and it depends on the brand size and it depends on the in-house team. So what kind of in-house team capabilities you have today? Like, do you have somebody who is creating the content already? That's sort of great. And if you have that, then, you can outsource the rest. Or like, then the other case is that there really isn't any capabilities in place. And then we end up helping in all the aspects. And then there can be just like chosen things like we want to just outsource live streaming. So I would say that there are like, it's really variety. And that's why we always do the strategy workshop with the clients to understand what's the best way of working for them. But I think there are a lot of brands who find it easier just to say like, hey, we want to hand over everything to you guys and you handle it. But naturally nothing happens in isolation. So like you need so much from the brand. You need the brand guidance. You need to work on the campaigns together, on the products, on the pricing. So it's really, really, let's say, tight knit collaboration with the client, and I think that's when the best conversation and the best progress really happens, when the both parties come together and really try to solve for the problems. And as we both know, like this is so much about the profitability because it's such an expensive platform to operate in because of all the cost elements in the P&Ls. So I think that's also like something that want to be open to the brands like upfront, but then also like try to see how with the like looking at their portfolio SKU and the profitability of those SKUs to try to max out the profitability for them.
Right. So you, even if you, let's say, would run the whole TikTok shop show for a huge client, you still need a lot of input from them, and certainly a lot of collaboration is needed to
100%.
make this a success for them, which I would assume is really challenging because you essentially have to work with them almost full time to make this a success for them.
Yeah, I see like in many cases we are sort of extension of the internal team. Like I think
Right.
that's the way we like to operate.
Um, How is your impression on the sentiment about social commerce in 2026 with those large brands? Do you feel like social commerce has reached mainstream? I know clearly it's going to be a biased impression that you have because the ones that you talk to already are somewhat interested in social commerce if they reach out to you or if you get in contact with them. But do you feel like, okay, this is on everyone's radar now, or is it still so underground that most people don't even know that this is happening?
I think I might be in my bubble, but I think we are more and more there that it's under everybody's radar. And I think we can witness it from the fact that all the big companies who are often like first looking bit of a background before enrolling. So I think all of them are onboarding to the platform as we speak, both in the UK and in the US. So we are definitely becoming mainstream, but I think like everybody wants to be on the platform, and then there's the question like then for them to scale and build this to a big sizable business and have their own in-house teams. I think that's sort of the thing. I think L'Oreal has done really great job because they are always forerunners in all things digital, and then rest of the big players really watch a bit in the sideline like what L'Oreal does. And L'Oreal has built they launched back in the 2024 with the L'Oreal Paris, for instance. They really started to embrace TikTok Shop, and find a way to make it work for them. And now across all the brands, they are naturally making millions every month here in the UK on the platform. They have an in-house team for that, and they are really, really actively trying to understand what's the big company way of working with TikTok Shop. So I think they have done a huge work so that now the rest of the industry um, can follow and make business on the platform as well.
Yeah, it always helps to have these really big brand names enter a new space, right? To
Yeah,
then gain traction for
yeah.
everyone else. I actually had one of the live sellers hosts of L'Oreal on the podcast. Jess, she
Just
was fantastic and
yeah,
gave great insights into how live shopping and live selling actually works with these huge mega lives and all the effort that goes into working for a brand like
yeah,
L'Oreal specifically. And I think this is just going to be the tip of the iceberg. A lot more will happen in
100%.
that space.
And I think
How
Jess is amazing, and she's worked with a lot of brands with me and the brands we work with. So like she's really 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 amazing example of a host. And I think like by the way, just like speaking about like live host, I think like one of the industry issues at the moment is, and this is something I was talking already back in the 2024 for the 25 predictions. Like we are short of live hosts, and that is the reality. Like it's booming, everybody wants to go live. So then like finding and training the live hosts, that is a big task to be taken.
certainly you somewhat are fortunate to be living in the UK, which is the most established TikTok shop market. It was the first to be launched in the West. Then afterwards came the US, where you're also active. How do you think about the rest of Europe, though? I am based in Sweden, as you know. You are originally from Finland. Do you see TikTok shop launching in Scandinavia soon? And how do you look at TikTok shop in, for example, Germany, where I'm originally from, and that launched last year? France, Italy are also live with TikTok shop. Can you give us a little bit of your impression from within the industry of whether or not all the other markets will catch up to where the UK and US already are?
Yeah, I think like US and UK, they are just like so far into the game. But I must also say that like the beauty of TikTok Shop is like how they operate. So when they first launched into the UK, it was really slow start and not the best strategy, I would say, for this market. But then they took all the learnings and they went to US and they literally scaled to massive heights only in 18 months. So they were sort of able to shorten the half the time, the launch time. And naturally then after that came all the other European countries and they took again all the learnings how to shorten the launch time. And I think the initial results out of those like top Europe markets, the new Europe markets last year was that Germany was really on the boom, doing great. And and now they are like, what? They are 10 months in as we speak. Well, Spain is now over a year, but the rest of the markets were launched in the spring. So basically, like it's still really early days for them. But knowing how efficient TikTok Shop is, and they try to really make each launch faster, I think there are good results. And you know our clients are interested in joining. I think a lot of conversations around Germany. But then about Scandinavia, to be honest with you, I don't know. And it's interesting to see the development there. And naturally, huge markets, you know, like when you're talking about LATAM, like Mexico and Brazil, that are the recent openings. So I'm just like, there will be a massive boom there for TikTok Shop.
Yeah, it's crazy how all around the world things are happening at the same time, and you can then sort of go and compare the different
Yeah,
markets against each other, but
yeah,
also you can almost extrapolate into the future what will happen in Germany 2 years from now, because you know it from the UK, you know it from the US, you
yeah,
have seen the playbook run
yeah,
out over and over and
yeah,
over by TikTok shop, and
yeah,
obviously they're getting better each time. So
yeah.
as you said, adoption time gets halved almost every time,
I
which
think
is
that
fantastic.
Yeah, I think the one thing though is like what makes things bit different is the fact that like when you're looking at the top four e-commerce largest e-commerce markets in the world. US is one of them and UK is one of them. So the whole infrastructure and the whole e-commerce as such are on next level here when you compare to a lot of other European countries. So that is also like one thing to remember, that maybe the population here in the US were the most ready for this to happen versus when compared to, for instance, LATAM or some of the European countries, or then Scandinavia, where the e-commerce in general is really low. But having said that, TikTok adoption everywhere is so high. And I think it's like 1.6 billion people globally using all the ByteDance apps. So basically, that adoption number is so high. So you have the users already there.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's fantastic to see that being rolled out as we speak. And I'm very curious what 2026 will bring in terms of new market launches. If we linger a little bit on Kanzen Studios, though, because this is, I'm sure, at the very forefront of everything that you're working on and what you're building now going into 2026. Where do you see such a studio setup adding value to the existing live shopping space? How does it also maybe satisfy needs that other agencies are currently not meeting? Do you see a strong competition with other existing live shopping studios out there already in the UK? Or is it so much demand and so little supply in terms of live shopping capabilities that you're just basically running in open doors?
Yeah, so I think like it is really because like there is not like enough supply, and there is a huge demand. So like that's, I think, where the industry is, but also like setting us apart. Like we are with Matthew, the top live experts in the UK. We've been on the ground for such a long time, delivering lives for the clients. So we really know the business inside out. And I think that's sort of like we can say that our studios, we are a true live experts when it comes to TikTok shop lives. So I think that's also like really compelling thing for the brands, that they can trust and know that the quality will be the best in the market. And I think that's what a lot of brands are really wanting. But I think in general, lives can be scary, like, cause the whole TikTok shop can be so scary for the brand. And then adding the layer of lives, which can be even more scarier. So then it's just like, that's probably the easy part, always to outsource and say like, we need help. We don't have a clue how to execute everything. Can you help us to do that? And then there is a lot of, as well, like there is a lot of hassle involved, end-to-end delivery of the live streams and the host, and training the hosts, and doing the live strategies, live tactics, all that. So it's just like there are a lot of elements that needs to be well thought. So hence, I think a lot of brands really want to avoid it, and for them it's easier to just say that, hey, we will outsource it.
So does that mean that you also potentially provide the hosts itself and everything around that,
So
or do
we
they
are the
have to
full
find their own hosts or bring
No, we are
in-house
the
people?
full service house. So basically, clients outsource everything to us fully.
You said that Kanzen Studios is fully focused on being the best live shopping destination, essentially. What exactly does that entail? Can you walk us through what goes into the technical equipment? How does the location actually needs to be designed? How many different studios or brands can film at the same time? Like, what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah. So if you think it from the brand perspective, so basically the top brands run 12 hours daily lives. Like that's like your top brand. That's full on every single day. And then for the brands, it can be several markets. So it's just not UK, but it's US and maybe some other European markets as well that you do the live streaming to. So it's like a really big production. And then like from the tech wise, we are always checking like what's happening in China tech wise, and wanting to adopt the latest technology, latest dashboards and tools that are available. So that's something that we are passionate about. But then also like the end delivery, like having the well trained, high quality hosts who know how to sell, how to engage. And that's like, I admire live hosts so much because it's truly a difficult profession. So if you think that you are doing live like 3 hours, for instance, in a row, so like the constant thinking that, you know, what I'm going to say next, what I'm going to, how I'm going to sell, and then like naturally there are a team to support you with everything, but basically like it is really demanding job. So basically just
Yes.
like bringing the best industry standards at every level.
Do you think that this is essentially what the shopping future as a whole looks like? We're going to have more and more live shopping studios pop up left and right. We're going to have TikTok Shop rolled out to more and more countries. So will that be the future of e-commerce, where every brand is selling through live streams? Everywhere you can find a live stream studio. There's going to be probably chains of live stream studios opening everywhere, like gyms.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's going to be much less than that, and it's going to be one of many channels where brands sell online?
Naturally, it will be like one of many channels, but I think like how I'm thinking that live studios should be treated, that they should be treated as your flagship store. Like, imagine you would have a flagship store here in the Oxford Street in London, how you would treat that. And I think like when you are looking at the lives that we do for the clients, so for the small brands, you might have, like 50 people or 100 people in the room at all times. And then for the larger brands, you have like 500 people in the room at all times, or like 1,000 people in the room. So it just shows that there are so many customers who want to engage with your brand and buy from you, and you need to be really really deliberate, like how that whole concept looks. Like treat it as you would treat your flagship store, like offline flagship store. And yes, I think that this will be and is already and will be even more important channel for the brands, and for the engagement. But as you said, it will be, also like one of many channels. But then also the live streams, they don't happen just in TikTok Shop, because they can happen in every other platform, and they can happen on your own website, on your own Shopify platform, wherever you are selling your product. So it's just not like one TikTok Shop limited.
From your perspective, as somebody who owns and runs such a live shopping studio, is it difficult to make this part of the business profitable? Is it difficult to make sure that you use your facilities and capabilities to as high of an extent to make sure that your costs are being covered? Because I would imagine that pretty much everyone wants to go live at the right time, right? Like when people are done with dinner and they're lying on the couch, maybe at 7 p.m., they're scrolling through TikTok Shop. That's when everybody wants to be live. And nobody wants to be live at 1 p.m. when everybody's at work. How do you make that work from a studio perspective?
So I think it's more like what works the brand. So naturally, like you need to run the lives to test and see what works for your brand. And there are brands who actually their midday slots work well, even though like for the majority of brands, it's usually morning and then the evening. So like those can be the prime times. But yeah, it's our job to ensure that we sell enough so that, the costs that are coming to the client are um like it's profitable for the client, but on top of that, like it's also like profitable for us in the studio. So that's where the data comes in, and just like seeing that what are the things, and decisions based on the data for for the strategy, for the tactics, for the hours of the day or length, and all that, how we can improve it. So it's like constant improvement, to find higher sales and then more profitability for all the parties.
Is your plan, if this works out well with Kanzen Studios, which of course I'm very much rooting for, is the plan to then open other studios in other parts of the UK and potentially also abroad? Or will you focus all your efforts and energy in on this one studio?
No, absolutely. Like we want to go big with Kanzen, but big also with Silta, my agency. So yeah, everything is stay tuned.
Yeah, 2026 will be a big year in many ways.
100%.
Um,
100%.
for anyone who's interested in social commerce after listening to our conversation or following other people online, they hear this is booming, they want to get in on the action. Where do you see the lowest barrier of entrance for those people who might not have a background in TikTok Shop, in social commerce, or even in e-commerce?
Like how to enter to.
Exactly. If you're listening to this conversation and you're like, okay, this sounds great. It's a booming industry. It's basically what e-commerce was in 1999. I want to be part of it. I want to ride the wave. I have no previous experience with it, though. Where should people start? Should they go and start their own brand and launch it on TikTok Shop? Should they try to become an affiliate creator? Should they try to go live with live shopping? Where do you see the best possibility for people who are very new to this?
I think like it just like it really depends on that person, and I know this is not the answer you wanna hear, but like I think like like if you wanna work for agency, like then and really understand the end to end, like that's a great opportunity. Or find a brand team where you can actually work and learn from, who are like doing things in house. And then another thing is like being an affiliate is naturally like amazing advantage, because you understand how things work, how the conversion works, how the whole world works from the inside out. So I think it's just more like where you feel your strength might be. But I think like my saying is that this is so early in the industry still today. What you, Moritz, yourself has said, like it's early days for the industry. So I'm just saying like just get started with it, whatever your entry route is. And then if you are a brand looking for entry to TikTok Shop, then naturally, like me and my team, we are super happy to help you on that and guide you. It might be that you want to do things in house, but like we can guide you with the conversation.
What is the best way to get in contact with you, your team, or also Kanzen Studios?
Like literally, my LinkedIn, Päivi Korvela. That's probably the way, the best way and fastest way.
Awesome. Simple as that, Pavi. Great. It was a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been truly exciting to follow your journey from afar and now getting a little bit more of a deep dive into what you've been building over 2024 and 2025, but then also what the future will look like for your agency and Kanzen Studio. I'm super excited to be following it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Maurice, I really appreciate the opportunity. And I also want to say to you, like, thank you for rising the importance of social commerce. Thank you for focusing on that and interviewing people and building like a channel where people can come and learn. So like, I think it's highly appreciated that like from us who are building the industry, you are part of the builders as too and trying to raise awareness. So I want to say huge thank you for that to you.
Thank you.
Super.
Great to hear that feedback, and no better way to end this. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.